The Sims 3 has a huge amount of lifetime wishes in the game. Base game alone has 32. They range from the very basic of simply wanting to reach level 10 of the medical career or become an astronaut, to the saucy of being significant other to 10 different Sims. Aptly named, they're meant to take a lifetime and cannot be switched on the fly like The Sims 4 to create a super sim. But Sims do gain a ton of lifetime happiness points from completing their lifetime wish. But how fast can these take? Does it have to take a lifetime? Or could this possibly be done in a week or two? In this new series, we'll be investigating just that. We'll be starting with base game. Once those are completed, we'll move on to world adventures, ambitions, and so on and so forth. So I won't be picking ones that I think are super easy. I painstakingly created a wheel with all of the base game lifetime wishes in it, and hit go, and prayed I didn't get a long one, like surrounded by family. First up was professional author! Ta-da! This is Crunch. Words, sure. I gave Crunch the best required traits, but I needed 5, so his final trait was a good sense of humour, in case this helped with writing funny books. He also has a lot of yellow outfits, because I was really into the colour yellow during this challenge. I think because of this jacket. He's also a Virgo, because I'm a Virgo. I'm not good with star signs, but I like them. Why not tell me your star sign? I wanted Crunch to live close to the library, so we could visit there regularly and gain the bonus from the library. But I didn't feel like building a place, so he lives all the way up here, in Little Cottage Getaway, away from the hustle and bustle of town. Unfortunately, there was no computer, so we had to head to the library anyway. Day 1. Crunch was staring at the blank page before him. He opened up the dirty window. He was feeling the rain on his skin. Metaphorically, I don't have Seasons installed. And decided he wanted to take a writing class, which I decided was worth the risk. With 400 simoleons in the bank, and writing classes costing 400 simoleons, it was a big risk, but it might be just what we needed for that big head start. After all, we're seeing how quickly we can do this lifetime wish in. Into the building he went, whilst I waited outside. He left with 0 simoleons in his bank account, but with 1 point in writing and wanting to write a novel. What a novel idea! So it was off to the library to start Crunch's first novel.
To the library! Yeah!
Crunch looked like a little bit of a nerd in his little yellow cardigan and big glasses. So his first novel was a sci-fi novel. Future Spy Kids 3D. It has a pop-up book in the middle. I was determined to get our first book finished by the end of the first day. But with nighttime rolling in and hunger taking effect, it wasn't looking good. By 11 PM, Crunch threw in the towel, stressed out, very hungry, and sleepy. It was time to take Crunch home. He would have to finish Future Spy Kids 3D tomorrow. But by the end of the day, we had almost completed our first book, gained 3 skills in the writing skill, and now had 45 simoleons, which wasn't bad for a first day. On day 2, Crunch awoke, still stressed. Being a couch potato meant his fun went up faster, watching TV. But this meant getting to the library very late in the day, at around 2 PM. I needed to get this man a pooter to write on. Preferably a laptop, but at 400 simoleons, it wasn't on the horizon anytime soon. After completing our first book on day 2 and starting our second book, and our first in an anthology series, the Mr. Gross Saga, a comedy series starring a man who is gross. It's sort of a cross between Shrek and Mr. Bean, Mr. Sheen. Titles in this series included Mr. Gross Goes to Town, Mr. Gross goes out on the town, and Mr. Gross searches for Mrs. Gross. Spoilers! He doesn't. Mr. Gross Goes to Town is the first. All of these were humour books to utilise Crunch's good sense of humour and to gain this achievement. Specialist Writer. Writers must pen at least 5 novels in a specific genre to be known as a specialist for the genre. Such specialists write more hits and bestsellers in their particular genre than most. Perhaps one day I'll do an all achievement and all skills series, but not today. This is a Lifetime Wish series. Humour books are one of the longest books to write, but one of the most profitable. But this meant days blurred together, with long hours spent at the library, writing for hours upon hours, until Crunch got so tired and stressed that I got tired and stressed, so I went to bed. I would like to say it was the next day, and I got started straight away. But I kept having to go to work. The people need to see how quickly I can do this challenge, but instead, I have to deal with people's stupid Christmas returns. Retail! Anyway, when I got back to playing on day 5, Crunch was not at home yet. I had decided to try and have him sleep in the library. I thought to myself, why do I have to deal with the consequences of my own actions and muddle through them? So, I typed in some cheats and gave Crunch the workaholic trait. However, I did not get rid of good sense of humour. Workaholic and couch potato cancel each other out. So he still has a good sense of humour. So we'll see how things go. Crunch's sleep schedule was now way off, and day 5 started at 6 PM. And, as always, it was off to the library. I really need to get that pooter. In the early hours of day 6, Crunch finally finished the first Mr. Gross book in the series. Bringing the royalties up to 445 a week. Better, but a long way to go. After a quick reading break, it was on to book number 2 in the Mr. Gross series. The days got a bit muddled at this point. I'm going to stop counting them now. I'll try to keep a better track of them next time. The days may have gotten a little muddled, but it was week 1 on Friday, and we'd only just started our 3rd book, and made just under 450 in royalties. It wasn't looking good for completing this Lifetime Wish by the end of the first week. But still, Crunch soldiered on, writing day and night in the library, sometimes sleeping in the library. I don't know why I kept trying to do that. He wakes up so miserable, it's all smelly and hungry, and still really stressed. But eventually, on Sunday, the royalties rolled in. I invested this money sensibly into getting Crunch a computer at home. A big, classic, blocky kind. The kind you download dodgy Sims CC onto back in the day and destroy the family computer. With the computer now gained, there was honestly no reason to go to the library. Or outside at that reason. Books were being completed in record time, thanks to our new computer. Titles like Mr. Gross Looks for Mrs. Gross. Uh-oh, Frogs. And the sequel to Future Spy Kids 3D, Future Spy Kids 4D. It still has the pop-up book, like the prequel, but this time there's a little musical bit. Crunch had received opportunities in the past, but none had benefited them, so I had cancelled them all, each and every time. Except one person wanted to see Crunch write another sci-fi novel, which I took as someone wanting to see Future Spy Kids 4D. Like you guys, wanting to see more Homeless Challenge and Planet Zoo. With a computer at home, a stereo, and good food, Crunch was always in a great mood for writing. That was until Crunch went stir-crazy from being at home for too long. I knew I should have aimed for that laptop. To recover from his stir-craziness, I sent Crunch back to the library, like it was the good old days. Next time I'll give him the hates the outdoors trait. Crunch had one more humour book before gaining the achievement of writing 5 books in the same genre. The 5th humour book was Mr. Gross Goes on Holiday, and I was hoping this would be our final book, both in the Mr. Gross series and in this challenge. But as you can see, this video keeps going. Crunch obviously gained the achievement, meaning his humour books were more successful. But Mr. Gross Goes on Holiday was not our final book in this challenge. So Crunch wrote a sequel to Uh-Oh, Frogs, which I cleverly named Uh-Oh, More Frogs. I still thought this one was going to be his last book, and again, it wasn't. But the achievement made it a bestseller because people love frogs. It was the early hours of Wednesday morning. Crunch sat down to write the novel The Tiny Mr. Growowski, a prequel series of Mr. Gross's childhood. But then daybreak and Crunch's life fell apart. He was lonely, tired, stressed, and broke the sink, and needed to chat to the poor green repairman. But once everything was back to normal, Crunch sat back down and continued to write and write and write until he got stressed again and had to take a bubble bath. But after that, on Thursday, week 3, Crunch completed his final book of our challenge, The Mr. Tiny Growowski, bringing our royalties to 4,237 simoleons. Crunch had completed his lifetime wish. And overall, it took us 17 days. It's week 3 on a Thursday, so it definitely took less than a sim year if I had seasons on. I think this could have been done faster had I given Crunch a computer from the start, to save time of going back and forth to the library. But I wanted to start with nothing and working towards this goal, rather than giving him everything from the beginning. I also imagine this goal could have been done as a teenager, which I think some of these goals could have done. But with the stress of going to school and homework, it was easier to see if this challenge could be done as an adult first. If you liked this video, let me know. And let me know if you want to see more of these challenges, or anything else you'd like me to do. Subscribe if you want to keep up with this series and other videos and series I've done. But for now, I have to eat both Christmas chocolate and Easter eggs in January. Keep being the blast. Goodbye!